Hey, what's up, guys? It's AJ from the Comeback Sports Podcast. This is Season 3, Episode 8. We had a jam-packed filled episode as usual. Today, we'll be talking about the Iowa game that I saw last weekend and their chances in the college football playoffs. A little bit of Alabama, Michigan State, Big 12 with Oklahoma, John Gruden, some Packers, and we'll talk about the Bulls a little bit, so let's stick around. Now for your quote of the week. Never be so kind, you forget to be clever. Never be so clever, you forget to be kind. What does that quote mean to me? For those who don't know, this is a Taylor Swift quote. I heard the song in the car one time, and I thought, okay, I can definitely use this, use these lyrics for my episode. So never be so kind, you forget to be clever. Let's start that part of the quote first. Essentially, people that are described as clever, they're kind of calculated or always one step ahead of you and kind of looking out for themselves and to a bit, like they're always kind of standoffish or think they know more than everyone else. So they're saying, like, don't be so standoffish that you forget to be kind to people. Wait. Yeah, so don't be so standoffish. Never be so clever. You forget to be kind. Oh, actually, I had that flipped around. Okay, so I did have it flipped. So it's saying don't have that right balance where you're so kind that you're naive. You don't want to be that. You want to be somewhat clever where you can not be fooled by another person, and vice versa. You don't want to be so standoffish that you forget to be kind, you forget to be a nice person. So find that right balance where you're looking out for yourself and others is kind of the way you want to go. So I want to talk about the Iowa game against Penn State. At the time, number 3 Iowa beat number 4 Penn State at Iowa in Iowa City. And I was actually in Iowa City during that game. I wasn't at the game. There was no tickets. I went to visit a friend who lives there. And I thought, okay, this is a big game weekend. I might as well just stop by. Looking at that game, it was just, I don't know. Like, I honestly think Penn State could have won that game. And here's why. So in the first half, their starting quarterback, Sean Clifford, was in the game. And he threw 2 interceptions, and Penn State was still up 17-3 before he got injured and had to leave the game in the second quarter. That's kind of crazy. How do you throw 2 picks and be up that much? That kind of shows that Penn State is a more, I guess they're great. They're so great defensively that their offense can be this incomplete, at least in the passing side of things. And they got their backup quarterback who came in. I can't remember his name, but I saw him play, and it was just god awful. He couldn't really make anything happen when he was throwing the ball. Like, he had a couple good running plays, but other than that, he just didn't make anything happen. He was kind of reminded me like a discount Lamar Jackson in a way. He just couldn't do anything when he passed, but he just didn't seem like he fit. And of course, Iowa has a very elite defense, and they just took advantage of this poor kid, and the kid threw 2 picks as well, and then Iowa came back and won the game. I don't think that Iowa could have won the game if Sean Clifford was still in there. And I'm looking at like their resume this season. They've beaten these 3 teams: Kent State, Colorado State, and Maryland. And before I get on to the ranked matchups, like, oh, what about Maryland? They were 4-0 when they played Iowa. But there's the thing, though. Like, Maryland also just wasn't ranked to begin with because the committee knows they're not that great. Sure, they lost to Iowa by 51 points. Iowa scored 51 points on them. But the following week, Ohio State scored 61. Like, it can only mean 2 things. Like, Maryland just is not that great in general against any ranked team, or it means Ohio State could be better than Iowa, and Ohio State is in Iowa's conference and in their way of getting to the college football playoffs if they play them in the Big Ten championship game. And then going on to the ranked teams, they're like, oh yeah, they beat ranked Indiana and they beat ranked Iowa State. I mean, I don't want to be too hard on Iowa State because that is my school. But after those losses, Indiana and Iowa State haven't really shown anything else. They continued to lose throughout the season. They weren't, in my opinion, they weren't considered ranked teams. And I don't. And then people want to say, "Oh, Iowa has one of the best defenses in the country." I agree, it is one of the best, but it also hasn't been challenged. Who has challenged them defensively? Like, I don't recall any big power spread offense or any sort of elite offense going against Iowa. I'm curious how they would react to it. And it's alarming to me that Penn State still put up 17 points on them before Sean Clifford got thrown out. And Sean Clifford's garbage, as you can see from the interception. So I don't know if Iowa is really a college football playoff team. And I want to be fair about it because there's a reason why they're number 2 right now. They keep winning. But I don't know if that will be the case when they get to the end of the season when they have to play Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game or Penn State again. And this time, Sean Clifford might be in the entire game. And let's hypothetically say that Iowa just proves me wrong and all the haters wrong, and they win the Big Ten, and they are eligible for the college football playoffs. I don't know. Let's see who we got in there. It's gonna be Georgia, and it's probably gonna be Alabama. And if I were to guess who the other spot would go to, be Oklahoma, or maybe someone else. But just those 3 teams alone, they have legit offenses, especially Alabama. Bryce Young is a Heisman contender, and he hasn't missed a step. Well, but Alabama lost to Texas A&M last week in AJ. I'm like, yeah, they did. But here's the thing, though. Even though they were behind by so many points, they still continue to roll on like they were just playing a normal game. It didn't even bug them. They tied it at the end of the game. And sure, they lost by a field goal, but it's just the consistency and how well they continue to play. They didn't lose a quarter after halftime. They outscored Texas A&M the entire second half. And honestly, if you gave them an extra minute or two, they probably could have won the game. Alabama just looks like Alabama to me. I don't think they're any worse than they were the previous year, honestly. And then Oklahoma, that's a power offense team, so we'll have to see how they play against them. And Georgia's defense itself, it's probably the best in the country. I truly think that. How they go about their defense is it's about just straight dominating and applying so much pressure. They know they have the talent, they know they have the size, and they can go and just attack the O-line and go straight to the quarterback. Versus Iowa's defense is a little different. I kind of learned this off of Joe Klatt's skit on defense that he talked about before the Iowa game. It's Iowa's kind of style is they're consistent, and they'll constantly surround the playmakers in the game, and they'll do the same formation over and over again, and they will just continue to be consistent, and eventually they'll take any opportunity to get a pick. But I just don't see these other teams that are so offensively gifted that will fall for that, and they'll probably break the mold. So to be honest, I don't want to say Iowa's not a college football playoff team, because I think they will make it. I'm just not sure because I haven't seen a matchup, and I don't think I will see a matchup this season until the Big Ten title game if they are really that legit. Yeah, it's very hard. It's very hard to take my word because I'm very anti-Iowa. I mean, my experiences of Hawkeye fans has just been unpleasant. I grew up around Hawkeye fans. I visited Iowa City plenty of times, and this visit to Iowa City was very interesting. I can tell you a lot of things that went wrong. I'll just start with the one that's the most trivial thing. I was in Iowa City, and I went to this bar, and I wanted to close my tab. And you know how it works at bars now. You give them your card, they scan it, or they ring it, and it's, all right, your tab's open. You can have your card back. Okay, cool. So I go to the bar just to close it because I wanted to leave to go somewhere else with my friends. And I told them my name. Oh, we don't have your tab. Oh, okay. Well, here's my card. Do the numbers look look familiar on your system? They literally took my card and went to their computer and nothing. They couldn't find it. And I don't know, I probably should have opened a new tab just to make sure and then close it right away. But in my mind, I'm like, oh, okay, maybe they just didn't do it. So I'm just going to see if I got some free drinks this time. I was wrong. 2 o'clock hit, and my phone sends me notifications when I do transactions. Right at 2 o'clock, I got a big, hefty transaction from Joe's Place. That was the name of the bar. And bars now, they'll not only close your tab, but they'll give you an inconvenience fee. And I was not very happy to see that. So that was the first red flag in the good old city of Iowa. Second red flag, which was, in their defense, was pretty much my fault too. I was at another bar that same night, and me and my buddy were just sitting there looking at this light switch. And I was being stupid, being curious when I shouldn't have been. I saw the light switch. I'm like, what's this light switch do? I don't see it connect to anything. I'm literally flickering on and off. And like, oh, well, something's going on. My buddy, what he told me was, like, as I was doing that, this kid comes out of the beer cooler pissed off as hell because some idiot, me, was flickering the lights to his beer cooler and he couldn't find the beers looking for. And it was probably so busy and crowded and he was so overwhelmed. He definitely didn't want to have trouble finding just beer. So this guy, I swear, this guy was like 5'5". I'm like 6'3". So I'm like almost a foot taller than this dude. This guy's 5'5", had like a mullet, which was very hard to take serious. He comes up behind me as I'm flickering the lights. By surprise, he grabs my armpits from behind. He's just like, you got to leave. You got to go. I warned you, you got to go. I'm like, well, you didn't warn me, but I'll go. Just don't tickle me, man. I was very shocked. And then I wasn't going to put up a fight because it's stupid. I shouldn't have to struggle. I shouldn't have to fight back just to stay in a bar that I really didn't want to be in that long. So all right, go. Just let go of me. I will walk. Is that the door? Okay, I'll go out the door. And I'm still confused by why he pretty much came at me. My buddy said, "Oh well, you were flickering the lights to the beer cooler." Like, okay, that makes a lot more sense. All right, so I'll give him that. I'll give myself that. But then the third red flag was, I like to go get burritos. I don't like Chipotle, but I like Qdoba. I like good authentic burritos. And one that I loved growing up in Iowa was Pancheros. Pancheros is founded in Iowa City, and you can only get the Panchero burritos in Iowa. And I was like, you know what? I really want a Pancheros burrito before the end of the night. So it was Saturday night. Everyone's out in the bars, getting drunk. Well, me, I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, all right, I'm going to go get a Panchero burrito now before it gets too crowded at bar close. I went around like 11:30, midnight. Dead wrong. Line took forever. Almost went out the door. I'm like, well, I might as well just commit to it. So I wait in line, and 25 minutes, I'm only halfway through this damn line. I should have knew what I was getting myself into when I got close to the counter and saw the ingredients, and like there were holes in the tortillas that I really liked. The lettuce looks slightly red. And my guess is it's been out all day. And then the meat looked dry as hell. At that point, I should have just walked out the door to my right, but I was so hungry and I waited so long. It's like, fuck it. I will try this burrito. Took one bite. Most of it fell out of my hand. And when I started chewing, it just felt like I was eating a flour napkin with a bunch of expired stuff in my in it. I was so disappointed because I can't believe I waited that long for a burrito that just wasn't satisfying at all. Yeah, so that was my Iowa City story last weekend. It just goes to show that the Hawkeyes still suck. I want to talk about Michigan State a little bit. So Michigan and Michigan State are in the Big Ten East, and they're both undefeated. I think they're the only undefeated teams in the East. I've never been a big fan of Michigan because Wisconsin always does a number on them and proves that they're not that great. But Michigan State has been kind of the interesting one this season. They are undefeated and they weren't that good last year. And I'm curious like how it will go when they actually meet up in about 2 weekends, I think. I want to give Michigan State the upper hand. Like I don't really trust John Harbaugh, the head coach for Michigan. He never has really lived up to the hype that people always talk about. And he's never won a Big Ten title, and he has these great records, but never gets to the dance, essentially. I feel bad because I do have a friend who's a Michigan fan, but sorry, Tyler, but I just don't think they're going to make it this year. I want to talk about the Big 12 now. So the Big 12 is my college football conference because I went to Iowa State, and it's looking a little interesting, especially from Oklahoma. I mentioned Oklahoma's this big power offensive team, and then they are most likely going to make the college football playoffs, but their starting quarterback, who was supposedly going to be the number 1 overall draft pick, or at least the best quarterback prospect, he got benched. He got benched in the middle of the game against Texas, who is a pretty good team in my opinion. And he got benched by this true freshman kid. I can't remember his name, but he didn't really put on a huge show, but he kept the show going though. Oklahoma came from a deficit, and they came back and they won the game. It was crazy, and I'm curious what's going to happen the next game. Is Spencer Rattler going to get benched again, or are they going to let him play again? And then he might get benched if he plays bad. So the pressure's on Spencer Rattler. I was a big fan of him when he first came to the college football because he was a very good prospect, has amazing arm talent, just has the build for a good quarterback. I don't know, like he kind of rubs me the wrong way now. He's kind of a little arrogant. I've seen some clips from that show he was in high school. I think it was, excuse me if I'm wrong. I think it was QB1 is the name of the show. And apparently he was just kind of a jerk to his teammates. I think my camera might have died, but it's okay. I'll just keep on rolling. Let's see. Well, let's kind of talk about Iowa State a little bit. Iowa State, they're coming off a bye week, and I believe they are playing. Let me check. They played Kansas 2 weekends ago. Ooh, okay. They're playing Kansas State. They're both unranked. Honestly, the best Cyclone team is an unranked Cyclone team. Every time Iowa State's ranked, the pressure gets to them, man. But they're unranked now, and I think they're going to look a little bit better than they were when they were ranked. They're playing Kansas State, which I'm a little nervous because Kansas State usually shows up. And in at least recent year, I think Kansas State has won more than Iowa State has. So I'm a little nervous, but who knows? Like I said, Iowa State's not ranked, so I think they're going to play better than I expect. I want to talk about John Gruden real quick. So those of you who don't know, which I think is anyone that watches, I think everyone does know because it's a pretty big story at the moment. John Gruden, the head coach for the Raiders, resigned from the position due to what was discovered about him. So Dan Snyder, who was the owner of the Washington football team, was under investigation, and they were looking through all his emails, and that included some emails from John Gruden in the course of 10 years. And he said some very homophobic, racist, and misogynistic comments about people in the NFL. And he's even said some nasty things about Roger Goodell, who is the commissioner of the NFL, the boss of the boss. And it was just very brutal. I don't want to go into detail what they said, but eventually John Gruden realized what kind of trouble he was in, and he resigned from the Raiders. I watched this video from Jack Schaumler, who is the host of Strong Opinion Sports, and he was very genuinely sad about it. But he wasn't sad. He was just sad because growing up, John Gruden was someone he liked, and he's sad that this surfaced, and now he can essentially no longer like him anymore. So he wasn't sad that he left. He was just sad of what he discovered of someone he liked. And hopefully people don't take that out of context, because I like Zach Schaumler. He's a great YouTuber, and he's someone that's inspired me to do these YouTube videos. But I'm just curious what they're going to find on Dan Snyder. My guess is it's probably something nasty or worse. They're going to hide it because he's in a higher position in the NFL versus John Gruden, who receives checks while Dan Snyder writes the checks. That's what a coworker described it when we were talking about this the other day. I feel for Raiders fans because this is probably something you don't really want on going around in your or football team. I feel bad for the Raiders players because they've been working very hard this season, and now that their coach is pretty much gone, and they feel disgusted probably about it. It might ruin their morale, and I'm curious how the rest of the season will end up for them. But hopefully they can persevere through this. The players, I don't want to get the organization included in this kind of hopeful comment because it's the players. The players have nothing to do with what John Gruden said, and so I hope the players still have a good season. Let's talk a little bit about the Packers game. The Packers game is very frustrating to watch. I was watching it at home and just yelling at the TV and then clapping at the TV and then yelling at the TV again, back and forth. And you know why? Because my boy Mason Crosby, who I said would be the name of my third child because he is a legit kicker, and he missed 4 straight game-winning field goals. And it had to go into overtime because of that. Thankfully, the Bengals kicker also missed a field goal, so Mason Crosby had his chance, and he won the game on the 5th attempt. I'm happy he won the game because I feel like it would really leave a bad taste in his mouth if someone else did it for him, or worse, they lost. So at least Mason Crosby made up for what he failed to do. And I kind of want to talk a little bit about overall quarterbacks in the NFL. I kind of noticed this. I was talking to my buddy about it. We are in the age of the greatest. We're in the greatest age of quarterbacks. I don't think there's ever been a time where so many of potential Hall of Famers have been playing at the same time. I want to look at the all-time passing touchdown list real quick. Let's see. I think I found it. Okay. Within the top 20 of the all-time passing touchdown leaders, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 if you want to include Drew Brees, who recently retired, but 7 of them, 8 if you want to include Phil Rivers, who also retired last year. 8 of the top 20 are still in the league. That's crazy. That list includes Russell Wilson from the Seattle Seahawks, Matthew Stafford from the LA Rams, Matt Ryan from the Atlanta Falcons, Big Ben from Pittsburgh, Aaron Rodgers from Green Bay, and Tom Brady from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's so crazy. The style of the game has allowed these players to just shine and show how great they really are. Back then, it was kind of a running kind of game for a while, but now, like, NFL quarterbacks, they are asked to do so much now. Not only just facilitate the game, but throw a bunch of TDs and even make some running plays, extending or scrambling. Like, these quarterbacks have been in the back then. They weren't asked to do that, or they couldn't even do that. There's just excluding this list. We have stars like Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson, and these guys are fresh out, and they're already in the talks of being all-time greats in upcoming years, especially Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. You can't forget Josh Allen. We're really watching the greatest age of quarterbacks, and it might get better. This list is going to look so different about 5 years from now. I wouldn't be surprised if, like, 10 years from now, the top 20 is going to be completely different, as in more than half of them are going to change. Maybe not more than half, but a good chunk of it, or majority of these guys are going to be active NFL players. It's crazy. And, like, it's crazy. There's, like, great quarterbacks, like Peyton Manning, who was an all-time great. Brett Favre, one of the greatest Green Bay quarterbacks. Dan Marino, he's one of my all-time favorites. You got Eli Manning, so you got both Manning brothers in there. John Elway, who is a Denver Bronco all-time great, and this list goes on. Joe Montana, and these guys are being eclipsed by these new age of quarterbacks. So it's crazy. I just want to applaud the quarterbacks this season for what they've done. Yeah. So, I want to talk about my Bulls. So the Chicago Bulls are back, man. They're looking so great. Like, let's look at this roster right now, man. They could barely get into the playoffs, but now look at them now. They got Lonzo Ball, got DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine. They got Nikola Vucevic, and they got their sophomore player Patrick Williams, and they got their freshman point guard. Excuse me, not freshman. Rookie point guard, Ayu Dosunmu. I can't remember his last name. Ayo Dosunmu. Okay, I might have said it wrong, but they got Alex Caruso on the bench, Javonte Green, Derrick Jones Jr., and then they got their second-year player from overseas, Marko Sinovic. I mean, it's looking pretty good in my opinion. Oh yeah, I can't forget my boy Matt Thomas. Matt Thomas isn't going to be much of a big star in this team, but I like Matt Thomas because I actually went to school with Matt Thomas. He went to Iowa State, and we had a business class together. One time, Matt Thomas was looking for a spot. I raised him, hey man, it's over here. There's a spot here. So yeah, man, if you're watching this, Matt Thomas, congrats, man. I'm glad you're a Bull. Maybe I'll see you at a game when I go to one. So I'm excited to be a Bulls fan because it's been depressing, man. Missing the playoffs multiple years and having to be in the lottery draft every other year, even back-to-back years. So it's good to see some hope. I'm not going to say they're going to win the NBA Finals. I don't think that's possible, but I think they're going to have a good playoff run, though. Talk about the Brooklyn Nets. According to General Manager Sean Marks, he said Tuesday that Kyrie Irving's decision to not comply with the New York City's COVID-19 vaccine mandate left the organization with no choice but to send him away from the team until he's able to fully participate. So essentially, Kyrie Irving from the Brooklyn Nets can't play until he gets vaccinated, which is very strange because I'm not sure if this applies to every single team. I think it just goes by the city coordinates. But it's like, I feel like Kyrie, he's a very interesting guy. I mean, he's always very he sticks to his guns, and he wants to be difficult sometimes. And I understand like we shouldn't really be so demanding on players' beliefs, especially people's beliefs like this. But then again, this is what's going to help progress the world. Like we need players, we need actual civilians to be vaccinated so we can get back to somewhat of a normal lifestyle that we were before. I think Kyrie just needs to accept that in order to make things better for everybody in the world, you have to be vaccinated. I just don't understand. Everyone else is doing it within the NBA, and if Kyrie really likes basketball, I think he'll do it. But it's really strange. I hope he gets vaccinated, because I also want to see him play. I think he's a really great basketball player, but this is more serious than basketball, in my opinion. All right. I mean, I want to kind of wrap up the show. I don't really have much else to talk about. Actually, I do have a couple of things. I mean, it's Halloween, so oh yeah. Before I talk about that, I want to say I watched my nephew play t-ball baseball. It is the funniest thing, man. Imagine like going to a baseball game, just 5-year-olds playing. There's like 12 kids in the field too. Everyone plays in the field at the same time, and when the ball gets hit, they just run at it, and they don't even care who it is. They don't care how many people are going after. They just all run, and then they just throw it to anything. There's no like outs in baseball. You hit the kids hit the ball. They get 4 strikes, I think. If they miss the 4 pitches, then they just hit off the tee. But like everyone gets to go onto the base. No one gets out. And then you just run through the bases each time someone gets up the bat. It's pretty funny, man. And then the kids, they get tired. They pick grass. They roll around the dirt. They kick the dirt. Pick their nose, of course. And like it's just funny. I like to see my little nephew play because he's just a character. Every time you like talk to him, like give him like, hey, come on, bud, good job. Let's play good out there. Make sure you swing hard. He just does the same thing. Example like, hey, let's go. Come on, man. Make sure you choke on the bat and make sure you keep your eye on the ball. Don't miss it. This would be him. That's it. That's his thing now. Is indication he heard what you said. Just give him the thumbs up. I like that. It's just like, yep, heard you loud and clear, Uncle AJ. I'm gonna try to hit this ball that's going 5 miles an hour at me. Hopefully, I don't miss. Of course, he's a little guy. I like him. He's funny. When he was swinging, like he likes to be a little clown sometimes. He was hitting off the tee, And like, I'm not sure if he did this on purpose or he lost his footing, but he like swung and like spun like 360 and just fell to the ground. Of course, the kids were laughing. My brother-in-law wasn't laughing because he's like, "Come on, you gotta get up, man. Let's get the game rolling. Everyone's waiting on you." I try my best not to laugh because he wants a laugh. If you laugh, he'll keep doing it. So I had to hold it and like kind of hide my face away. Yeah, but it was really cool to see him play t-ball because I played t-ball and I liked what my family watched me. So hopefully he liked that. We were watching him. I've been watching the Squid Game lately. It's been pretty crazy. It's so popular, and I'm like really intrigued. I'm on the last episode, so hopefully the ending is great. But it's just like one after another. It's like my jaw drops because something reveals or something happens, or like it's just very intense and just kind of just show that like certain people, which may be majority of people, will do anything, almost anything for money if that's what they really need. And these people that have to do these games, they're in very, very bad financial situations where they're willing to murder or they will go to the extent of murdering just to win. It's just crazy. And it's even though it's a very complex story or a very unrealistic story, at the same time, it feels very realistic. Like if you put them in this situation, it might go how this show goes. It's very scary. Speaking of scary, I would like to see the new Halloween movie. I think this is the 12th one. And it's like, God dang, how many more are you going to make of these? They just never end. But I still want to see it, though, just because I've seen the other ones, and I want to at least say, hey, I've seen every Halloween movie. Yeah, I didn't like some of them, but I've seen every single one of them. And the same goes with the new Scream movie. There was a trailer for the new Scream 5 movie. I think they just call it Scream. It has a lot of the returning cast. It has some new people in it. One person I'm excited to see in the movie is Dylan Minnette, who is the lead singer for Wallows, and he's also in that show 13 Reasons Why, which I like that show too, and I like Wallows a lot too. I like to see them live, so I like Dylan Minnette, and hopefully he's good in that movie. I want to finish off the show with a ghost story I had. So it's Halloween, so I want to do a little ghost story. So I was sleeping in bed at my girlfriend's place. We were both in the same bed, and she had this decoration on the wall, and it was on like very thin nails, and it wasn't really super intact to the wall. So when we were sleeping, maybe a ghost, because there were stories of a ghost in her apartment, knocked it over and it landed on top of us. It was actually kind of sharp. It like cut my finger, and it like landed on me, and I was like, I didn't really wake up. I was just like, oh shit, I'm gonna push this aside. I'm like, go back to sleep. But I think it startled my girlfriend and woke her up. And then when she opened her eyes, she like screamed at the top of her lungs because this thing is on top of me. She didn't know what it was because it was so dark. She's screaming. I'm like, what the hell is going on? I'm like holding her. I'm like trying to. I thought she was having a bad dream. That was my first thought. Oh, she's having a bad dream, so she's screaming in real life. And then she's like, get that off of you. I'm like, what's going on? Oh, this thing. Oh shit, this thing fell on us. And the reason I want to say it's a ghost story is because there has been some ghost things going around. Like my girlfriend had a cross of Jesus on her wall, and it just drops in the ground. No one touched it or anything. And then one time I was walking into the bedroom in the corner of my eye in the dark. I saw this thing, like this figure. I look. Actually, I didn't even bother to look. I just like, whatever it is, I'm not gonna snoop. I'm not even gonna try to look. I'm just gonna ignore it and just go to bed and just pretend I didn't see it. And I want to say it's the ghost because apparently this previous tenants, a girl and her boyfriend, were in the house. They got into a fight, and the boyfriend slept on the couch. And while he was sleeping on the couch, he said he was getting strangled, like he was getting choked by something. And he like moved around, and then the girlfriend comes in the room because he hears him struggling. And he tells me, like, I think someone tried to strangle me, but it wasn't her. She was in the other room. So that was a fucking wild story too. And then someone died in this apartment. It's a fourplex house. So there's like 4 apartment units in this big house, and someone died in it. I don't know how long ago it was, but maybe that's the ghost or something. Jesus Christ, dude, there's a lot going on in that house, and I like to ignore it because I don't want to think, and I also want to sleep. I mean, shit, if a ghost is gonna attack me, at least I want it to like kill me if it kills me in my sleep, where I'm not scared At least when I'm sleeping, it happens. And then like, oh, okay, I got attacked by ghosts. Okay, good. I'm glad I did. If I'm going to go out that way, it's quick and it's painless in my opinion. But yeah, I think there's a ghost in the apartment building. You call Ghostbusters. Bill Murray, I'm sure he can answer the phone. That or someone. So good news is she's gonna move out of that place pretty soon in the spring. So hopefully the place we go to doesn't have ghosts. If not, hey man, I don't want it to come down, but I'll throw hands, man. I'll throw hands at a ghost if I have to, protect the house or the apartment. I just don't want to, but I'll do it if I have to. That is it for today's episode. I think it's a little fun. I like this. I like doing this kind of quick one. Because sometimes it's just so time consuming to come up with all the stats and stuff, and then go super deep into analysis. I kind of kept the top level. I don't want to go too in. I know some people are gonna watch this are gonna be like, "Hey, this guy sucks. He didn't even do his research all the way." And like, I know, I didn't. Yeah, I know. Shame on me. But I want to get this out because I was kind of bummed I didn't get it out last week because work was pretty busy. It was actually kind of hard to get this out because work was pretty busy this week too. So you know what? Just do it, man. Just do it. Roll through it. Kind of just wing it and try to have fun with it. And I did. So that wraps up today's show. So thank you for everyone that watched today's episode. Remember to like, subscribe, and share this video with a friend. Every little bit helps. I will see you guys in the next episode. Take care.